Janelle Brown was never the loudest voice in the room. She was rarely the most emotional or dramatic. For years, she was seen as the quiet observer, the logical and pragmatic one who went along to get along. But in the high-stakes game of the Brown family civil war, the quietest player turned out to be the most dangerous. This isn't just a story about a woman leaving a broken marriage. It's the story of a woman who played the long game. While others chased fame, sympathy, and control, Janelle was studying the board, calculating every move. She knew Kody Brown better than anyone. She understood his ego, his obsession with control, and his financial recklessness. And when the time came, she made her move. Slow, deliberate, and devastating. While Kody was distracted by his emotional battles with Christine and his desperate attempts to maintain Robyn's lifestyle, Janelle quietly fortified her position. She didn't need to win arguments on camera. She didn't need to cry for sympathy. She needed proof, paper trails, contracts, ownership documents, and evidence. When Christine left, the family fractured. When Mary faded, the brand collapsed. But when Janelle walked away, she didn't just leave the marriage. She took the financial foundation with her. Because while Kody was playing husband of the year for Robyn's cameras, Janelle was managing the family's money. She knew where every dollar came from, and more importantly, where it went. For years, she helped Kody juggle the family's debts, the property taxes, the LLCs tied to Coyote Pass. And as Robyn's house grew bigger, and Kody's ego grew louder, Janelle saw the truth. The plural marriage was no longer a family. It was a business. And like any smart businesswoman, when the partnership turns toxic, you don't cry. You collect. Behind the scenes, Janelle began to separate her finances from Kody's. She invested in her own ventures, created independent accounts, and distanced herself from the Brown family's shared assets. Every time Kody made a bad decision, every time he signed something without understanding the fine print, Janelle made sure to keep records. She wasn't planning revenge. She was protecting her future. But then came the breaking point, Coyote Pass. The land that was supposed to unite the family ended up destroying it. It was supposed to be their legacy, their dream compound. Instead, it became the stage for betrayal, greed, and broken promises. Kody and Robyn had maneuvered themselves into controlling the best parts of the property, leaving the others fighting over dirt and debt. Janelle realized then that the dream was dead. She had contributed her share, believing in the vision, trusting Kody's leadership. But once the lies about ownership and payments began to surface, she had enough. She wasn't going to be another woman financing Robyn's mansion while living in an RV on empty land. So she walked. But she didn't walk away empty-handed. She walked away with the knowledge, the evidence, and the truth that could unravel everything Kody built. And now, as reports surface about lawsuits and financial disputes, the full picture is becoming clear. Janelle isn't the victim Kody painted her to be. She's the strategist who saw it all coming. Kody once bragged that he was the family leader, the head of the empire. But like every empire built on ego and deceit, it was doomed to collapse from within. And in that collapse, it wasn't Christine's tears or Mary's silence that finished him. It was Janelle's quiet strength, the power of a woman who waited, watched, and finally struck when the moment was right. In the end, Janelle didn't just survive Kody Brown, she exposed him. And in doing so, she reminded the world that sometimes, the calmest voice in the storm is the one that brings the thunder. She was never the loudest voice in the room. She was rarely the most emotional or dramatic. For years, Janelle Brown was seen as the quiet observer, the logical, pragmatic one who simply went along to keep the peace. But in the high-stakes game of the Brown family civil war, the quietest player turned out to be the most dangerous. This isn't just a story about a woman leaving a broken marriage. It's the story of a woman who understood the power of patience, who played the long game while everyone else was reacting in chaos. While Christine fought for her freedom and Mary clung to what was left, Janelle was studying the board, watching every move, and preparing her own silent exit. She knew Kody Brown better than anyone. She understood his ego, the way he needed control, the way he thrived on being the center of attention, and the way his obsession with image often blinded him to reality. Janelle had spent years managing the fallout from Kody's impulsive decisions, cleaning up his financial messes, keeping the family running and holding everything together while he chased power and validation. While Kody was busy defending Robyn and playing husband of the year for the cameras, Janelle stayed focused on what mattered: stability, independence, and truth. She didn't waste energy trying to argue with him anymore. She learned that silence was her greatest weapon. Every time Kody talked down to her, Every time he ignored her warnings or belittled her independence, she remembered. And behind that calm expression, Janelle was building her plan. Quietly. Carefully. She didn't shout, she didn't threaten, she documented. She took notes, saved receipts, and began to separate her finances from Kody's empire. Because deep down, she knew that one day everything would fall apart, and when it did, she'd be ready. When Christine left, Kody was blindsided. When Mary faded into the background, he didn't care. But when Janelle finally pulled away, that was the beginning of the end. She wasn't just leaving a husband, she was dismantling the foundation of his entire kingdom. While Kody was busy managing his emotional chaos, Janelle was managing something far more powerful, the numbers. She was the one who understood the family's finances better than anyone else. She knew how much money came in from TLC, how much went out to mortgages, taxes, and expenses. She knew who was paying for what and who wasn't paying at all. For years, she had watched Kody funnel resources toward Robyn, the new wife, the favorite, the one who always seemed to need more. A bigger house, more furniture, more financial security. And each time Janelle questioned it, Kody brushed her off, claiming it was for the family. But it wasn't. It was for Robyn's comfort and Kody's pride. Still, Janelle kept her composure. She didn't fight him on camera or expose him publicly. Instead, she focused on protecting what little was hers. She made sure her own ventures, her personal income, and her business earnings stayed separate. And while Kody flaunted his authority, she quietly began to untangle her financial connection to him. One account, one document, one property at a time. But the cracks in Kody's empire were already starting to show. As the pandemic hit and the family divided, Janelle saw something she could no longer ignore. Kody's leadership had turned into dictatorship. His obsession with control was destroying the family dynamic, and his decisions were no longer guided by faith or unity, but by fear and ego. Coyote Pass was supposed to be their dream, the land that would finally bring everyone together. But it became the symbol of everything wrong with Kody's vision. The land payments, the ownership shares, the endless promises, all of it became a tangled web of lies and manipulation. Janelle realized that the dream compound would never exist. It was just another illusion, one that kept the wives financially tied to Kody while he played favorites. So she began preparing her exit, not with emotion, but with strategy. Every step she took was deliberate, from how she invested her money to how she documented Kody's spending. She wasn't planning revenge. She was building a safety net. Because deep down, she knew the day would come when she'd have to stand on her own. And when that day came, she didn't flinch. While Kody shouted about loyalty and obedience, Janelle quietly chose herself. She walked away, not as a victim, but as a woman who had seen the truth, that the man who preached family unity had built his empire on division. The breaking point came when the truth about Coyote Pass could no longer be ignored. What was supposed to be a symbol of unity, the land that would finally bring all the wives together, had turned into a battlefield of broken promises and quiet betrayals. Janelle had poured years of effort and money into that dream. She sold her home in Las Vegas and invested her share into the property, trusting Kody's word that one day she'd have a piece of land to call her own. But as time passed and paperwork started to surface, she began to realize that the numbers didn't add up. Kody and Robyn had maneuvered themselves into controlling the best and most secure parts of the property, while the others were left with uncertainty and debt. For Janelle, that was the final insult. She had sacrificed her stability, her comfort, and even her pride to keep the family dream alive. Yet Kody had used her trust as leverage, all while funneling resources into Robyn's lifestyle. He promised equal treatment, but his actions proved otherwise. The moment she saw the documents, the ones that showed how uneven the ownership truly was, Janelle understood that the family dream was dead. Coyote Pass wasn't a shared legacy. It was a trap, and she wasn't going to be part of it any longer. The tension boiled over when Kody confronted her about loyalty. He accused her of being unfaithful to the family vision, of not doing her part. But for Janelle, the confrontation was years in the making. Calmly but firmly, she told him the truth he didn't want to hear, that his leadership had failed, that his favoritism had destroyed the balance, and that his obsession with Robyn had cost him everything. Kody didn't know how to respond to that kind of strength. He was used to controlling the conversation, twisting the narrative. But Janelle didn't shout, didn't cry, didn't beg. She simply told him that she was done. Not just with the marriage, but with the illusion. When she packed up and moved into her RV, it wasn't a sign of weakness, it was a statement. She was starting over on her own terms, away from the drama, the control, and the false promises. For the first time in decades, Janelle was free, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. And though Kody tried to spin the story, painting her as irrational and disloyal, the audience saw the truth. They saw a woman who had given everything and gotten nothing in return. They saw a quiet warrior finally stepping into her power. When Janelle finally walked away, she didn't slam the door. She closed it quietly, deliberately, and permanently. Kody never saw it coming. He believed she'd come back just like before. He thought her independence was temporary, a phase he could talk her out of. But this time it was different. This time Janelle had receipts. She had years of financial records, payment histories, text messages, and documentation proving how deeply she had invested in the Brown family dream and how little she got in return. She wasn't just another ex-wife walking away heartbroken. She was a woman holding the keys to the truth. As word spread about legal filings and financial disputes, it became clear that Janelle's silence had been strategy, not surrender. She had waited until every lie was exposed, until every promise Kody made about Coyote Pass and family finances was backed into a corner. And when she moved, it was with precision, not out of vengeance, but out of justice. The lawsuit wasn't just about money. It was about accountability. It was about forcing Kody to face the consequences of his manipulation, his favoritism, and his greed. For years, he had acted like the family's ruler, controlling who got what, who lived where, and who was worth his attention. But now, that same control became his downfall. Robin's mansion, once a symbol of victory, became a burden. The taxes piled up. The land payments on Coyote Pass stalled. And Kody, who had once bragged about being a provider, was suddenly cornered by the one woman he underestimated the most. Janelle's calm, methodical strength had turned into his greatest threat. While Kody and Robin scrambled to protect what was left, Janelle stood her ground. She didn't need to shout or seek revenge. Her truth spoke louder than his excuses. And when the documents surfaced, the ones showing the $600,000 imbalance in payments and ownership, the public finally saw what she had known all along. Kody's empire was built on deceit. In the end, Janelle didn't just win her freedom, she won her dignity. She proved that real power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it moves in silence, gathering strength until the moment it's unstoppable. Kody may still try to rewrite the story, but the truth is already out there. The quiet wife he once dismissed has become the one woman who could dismantle everything he built. And as his world unravels, Janelle walks away, calm, collected, and victorious. Because in the Brown family saga, the loudest voices made the headlines, but the quietest one changed everything.